Hey folks, it's Frithgar here, how you doing? Welcome back to Farming Simulator 19 here in Erlengrat. Now that, I've got the AI vehicle extension running it at the moment to do a round or two around the outside. Now what I want to do, as soon as that started now, I then want to go over here. And I want to stop immediately. I don't know if I've already messed it up too much because I started planting corn right there and I need to be planting cotton. So if I've already gone and planted part of this field with cotton, yeah, I'm not going to be able to plant cotton on that little bit right there. So I'm going to go out here like this. And I'm going to drop it in. Because this machine won't plant over the bit that's already done, we could potentially be in trouble right there. Hopefully the job will get done, but we could be in trouble. I did ask last time whether you thought I should be finishing the jobs or just going until the contract was complete. And I got a bit of a mixed bag of sort of feedback on that one. I was a bit surprised. I thought more of you would say definitely finish the contract. I think more of you did say finish the contract completely, finish the field completely, rather than just finishing the contract, than said the other. I mean, the argument in favor of not finishing the whole field and just doing the contract is that's what the farmer wants. The argument in favor of doing the whole field is, I'm a contractor. I've been asked to do a field. I would expect, a farmer would expect the job to be done right and to be done neat and tidy, or they're not going to ask me back, and other customers aren't going to want me to go anywhere near their field. So, yes, there's two valid points right there. I'm personally going with the one where we finish the field. I think we don't have enough seed in this machine to be able to finish this field. I think we're going to end up having to go back to the shop, get more seed, and then come back out to the field. So we'll see about that. So we're going to leave that one going there. We've got hired help working on that one, and we want to go back to this job. I'm going to finish this job first. Then we'll go to the one that's got that black voucher because we've got baling to do in that field, and we've also got wrapping that we're going to want to do. And then we'll... Oh, the train has finally started up again. It does eventually get going once if you've stopped it for a while. It does eventually pick itself up and carry on. Yeah, we'll finish this job first, and then we'll go on to the other baling job, and we'll start work on that one. Now, the bit that I'm wondering with this is if I go and drop all of these bales at the same time into the selling point for the final load, am I going to get any residual money for the extra bales that go in once it says job complete, or have I actually got to complete the whole job? I think I just dump the bales and I do end up getting paid for them, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Kind of like, I'm umming and eyeing a bit on that. Let's just double check. We got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We have got exactly 16 bales left. So we got one more load to do out of this field as soon as we get this one over to that bale sell point. So we've got a little bit of driving around to do. The other job should be a bit faster. Or at least the bale selling part should be a little bit faster, although I suspect that we're actually going to end up with more bales on that one. The slower bit for that one is the fact that we've got to do the wrapping first. And we're not going to be able to... no, we can't speed that up. I did, for purposes of speeding up the gameplay a bit with the last series... I had a wrapper that wrapped faster, and I did actually like that one. I thought that was a really good wrapper. I generally do that with wrapper. I'll find a modded one and speed up the wrapping process because, quite frankly, it is a tedious and rather mind-numbing process to go through and wrap any more than about 20 bales in a session. So, yeah, I would have preferred to be able to do that, but for some reason, this... version of the game, like FS19, you had all the modded machinery turning up when you were doing contracts and that. This one doesn't do that. You only get the base game machinery. I don't think you even get DLC machinery turning up for doing the various contracts. You only seem to get the base game stuff. So we're not going to be getting any of the actual Alpine machinery turning up for any of our contracts. We're just going to be using base game stuff. Now, personally, I'm not too fussed about that. I'm reasonably happy with having that, but it would be nice to have that extra bit of variation, I think. It would have been nice if the extra machinery there had been an option, because, I mean, we've got this beautiful Alpine DLC. We've got these nice collection of extra machinery and tools and that are available, and none of them are going to be coming up in any of these contracts. I mean, yes, I am hoping to buy one or two of those machines once the gameplay itself moves beyond us just doing contracts, but that's gonna take a bit, even though I am doing what some of you have referred to as cheating and using the hired help, which I'm sorry, I just don't get the logic behind saying you're playing the game using everything that the game has provided for you in the base game. You're cheating. How is that cheating? How is using hired help cheating in any way, shape, or form? Technically, using a mod is cheating, right? You're changing the game beyond what the developers originally put in. So that would be cheating. And so, therefore, we should, in theory, not be using any mods at all other than paid DLCs. Because otherwise we're cheating. Is that not how it works? But apparently that's not how it works. So I never quite understand the logic behind people who scream cheating. But there's not very many. I haven't had that very much. I did get a couple people saying that, and I just... Well, I don't understand logic behind that particular one. Right, 81% transported for Field 24. I'm going to take this one. I'm just going to dump them all into the barn. And I'm going to see if we do get a little bit of money come in at the very end of it. Now, let me have a look in here and see what price are we getting for hay at the moment. 63 euros per 1,000 litres. So we're not exactly making a fortune out of this, are we? You over here, you've done twice round the fields. And you've got less than half of your tank left over. There is not very much cotton left on this. We're going to have to go back and get more cotton. And we're probably going to end up having to do that twice. So I'm going to stop you there. And I'm going to lower you down and just pull out that bit there like that. And then I'm going to use standard game hired help now from this point, and I'm going to go up here to this part of the field. I'm actually just going to manually drop in and do that bit there myself, just to tidy up this little corner, and then I will set the hired help going to carry on with this one. So that's going to earn us just a little tiny bit more money, just to help us out, keep those bills being paid, keep the wolves from the door, and also we are keeping the people of this town employed, right? We are offering employment to the people of the town, which is always a good thing, right? We're helping to support the economy by providing employment to people in the area. Now, I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think that's a bad thing at all, and I don't understand why anybody anywhere could possibly have a problem with me providing employment to people in the area. I mean, what have you got against the people here having work? Right? There's not that many job opportunities for people outside of working the resorts. Not in this town, unfortunately. So someone comes along and offers this paid employment, and I've got people lining up to take these jobs. I don't know why that would be a problem. I'm helping people out here. I'm not the bad guy, right? I'm not the bad guy. Just try to remember that. I'm really not. I'm helping the town. I'm the good guy here. Now, I'm feeling a bit better now. Okay, so we're still. It's still going to take a bit for us to be able to get all of these jobs done, and it's still going to take a bit, even though I am using the hired help and I'm doing multiple contracts and stuff like that, it's still going to take us a while to be able to earn any land. And then it's going to take us longer still to not only have the land, but to be able to start buying our own machinery. And we can't do anything with the land until we've bought enough machinery to actually work that land. I mean, what can we do to start with? I buy a chunk of land. I can't actually do anything to it until I've bought a tractor to tow our machinery, until I've bought the various different machinery that we might want. Now, obviously, the easiest thing for us to do to start with would be to buy a mower and a forage wagon. Those would be the two easiest things for us to go and get. If we started off with just a mower and a forage wagon, that would put us in a position where we could start cutting grass and then selling it. If we were to buy a tedder at the same time, a turner, we could mow the grass, then we could go over it with the turner and turn that grass into hay, and then gather it up with the forage wagon and go and sell it. That is actually quite realistic. Don't know about selling it loose, but in this region of the world, a lot of farmers still gather in their hay in loose form rather than in bales and store it loose in a barn. That is still something that is done. It's not as common as it used to be, admittedly. Even in the last 10 years, the examples of that happening have dropped quite a bit. But it does still happen. You do still have farmers who gather their hay loose and store it in a barn. So, you know, it's just one of those farmers that likes the loose hay, and we can sell our hay to them. So that would be entirely feasible. That would be something that we could go and do in order to earn ourselves a little bit of money off of our land. But that's still... there's a lot of work involved for doing that, and we got to buy the machinery. We got to buy the tractor to pull the mowers. We got to get the mower. We got to get the turner. We got to get the forage wagon. You know, there's a lot of expense going into that. It's not just buying the chunk of land. That's only the beginning bit. You know, there's a significant amount of investment required. Now, one thing that we can do, this piece that we want to go and buy. Let's just take a look here. It's this chunk right here. So there's some trees over there that we would end up getting with it. Now we are working, it's this piece right in here. Yeah, we've got trees over this end. There's some around the edges. It's this piece here that we're looking at. Yeah, it's 125,000. Let's go to map overview. So there are trees around it. There are some trees around this piece, and we could go and chop down every single tree on this land and do something with it and keep it. Right, and we can sell the timber, but we got to buy the machinery that we would need in order to be able to handle and move the timber. So again, not easy. We've done that. We've done that a lot. It takes a long time to save up and buy the machinery you need for moving large quantities of timber. And there isn't going to be all that much timber there to move in the first place. Like, there isn't large quantities. There is some standing timber there, but there isn't a lot. There's not massive amounts, which is going to put us at a bit of a disadvantage for making any kind of money whatsoever. So it's not going to be easy building ourselves up. Now, the one thing that I haven't really talked about yet is the conditions for finishing. And I didn't fulfill all the conditions for finishing in the last series. I know I didn't fulfill them all. I did try to achieve a balance between what we originally intended to do and maintaining interesting gameplay. A lot of you did feel that I managed to strike that balance well enough. Some of you weren't overly happy with it, and I do understand that. I don't want to set us a target that I feel is not really going to work. But I'd also like to set us a challenge to do. Now, my plan is our own land. We must farm it organically, and that must be right from the start. We have to do organic farming. So, to begin with, and for gameplay purposes, we can't buy fertilizer. Yeah, the fertilizer that we get from the shop, I know these days you can buy fertilizer granules that are organic fertilizer granules, and there's not a lot of difference between them and standard fertilizer. It is a little bit more expensive, but there isn't really a lot in it anymore. Alright, so I am aware of that. A lot of people have been filling me in on that. I didn't realize that it was quite like that. I thought that it was still extremely dear to buy those kinds of fertilizers, but apparently it's not. Apparently it's a much more affordable product these days. There's more people producing it, and there's cheaper methods of producing it as well. So it has become more widespread that you can go and buy organic fertilizer just as granules and or as a liquid spray. But for gameplay, and in order to keep a little bit of challenge going, we're not going to do that, because organic crops tend to get a better price. You do tend to get a better price from them. You sometimes you'll get a poorer yield. It's the lack of herbicides and pesticides that can really affect yield. So sometimes your yields will be up with standard crops, sometimes they won't be. But it's those higher prices. Sometimes you can really cash out on organic farming, other times it's not so much. Now, there isn't that kind of price fluctuation available in the game. So in order to present us with a little bit of challenge and not give us just exactly the same, we're not going to say we're doing organic and then just throw on all the normal herbicides and pesticides and fertilizers and everything like that. We'll no herbicide. We can use raking if we time it right, but that's not always possible. So we may end up not having any herbicide applied to our field. And we can use lime on the field, because lime is a 100% organic product. And as for fertilizer, though, that's got to be animal manures. It's either digestate from if we do decide to get a BGA and do something like that, so we could use a digestate from there. Or we have our own slurry or manure coming from... Well, it'll be slurry and manure, because we're not doing seasons. Seasons only lets you produce one of them. So slurry or manure, slurry and manure, we'll be able to put those on the fields for fertilizer later on. Manure, we will say we can only put that on prior to doing any drilling. So, kind of keep that as realistic as possible. We wouldn't really want to put any on the field afterwards. Now, I'm going to drop that in a second. We did get some money there. Right, ideal. That's fantastic. That keeps things nice and simple for us. So, we got 2,000 euros from selling those bales. And on top of that, we're going to get the finished contract worth as well. So, while that one finishes folding up, I'm going to go to you. I'm going to fold you up. We've got to drive back to the shop now, and we've got to get some more seed for this one. See, those of you who are saying that I should be doing it manually and not using any hired help, this job would be so dull to watch, wouldn't it? I mean, personally, I would be losing the will to live just doing this job, right? Just driving up and down here. Trying to think of stuff to talk about while I'm doing this particular job. And if I'm not enjoying the gameplay, if I'm just sat there getting really, really, really bored, I struggle a lot more to find things to talk about, and it gets less interesting. And if I'm not enthusiastic, if I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, surely that's not going to be entertaining to watch either. So that's why I'm asking about this. Like, I'm not. Like, I've already said that I'm not going to be doing it, but I want to understand why you want me to do that. I'm trying to understand that anybody that is still watching that doesn't like the fact that I'm using the hired help and stuff. Why is it that you want that? I mean, is that what you're after? Do you want me literally just driving up and down the field for an entire week doing one job? Is that the kind of thing that you're looking for in hardcore gameplay? Because if that's what you're looking for, you're not getting that from this series. I'll tell you that now. That's not what you're going to be getting from this series. I've got no plans to do that. Even when we get onto our own land and we own it ourselves, I will be mixing up. If I've got a big job that I need to do on our own field, say I do go and buy that field right there and I'm cultivating it with a small cultivator, I'm going to put hired help going on it, and then I'm going to run off and I'm going to go and do a contract somewhere to earn a little bit more money, and, you know, keep variety is the spice of life. And so I need to keep things spiced up a bit. I don't really want to just sit there watching that same job. That's how I feel about it. Anyway, that is how I feel about it, and I wouldn't really want to be sitting there just getting really, really, really bored. So if you are someone that's kind of what you were looking for with a hardcore series, Is that actually what you want to watch? Would you want to just watch me driving up and down the field doing the same dull job for an entire week? Is that what you were actually hoping for? Because if it is, I apologize. That's not what this series is about. And if you came to it expecting that and then were disappointed because you didn't get that, well, I do understand why you might be disappointed if that's what you were looking for. Not a lot else I can say on that, really. It's just, this is how we're doing it. Anyway, we'll take this one back up, and then we can go back to our other tractor. We've got that job to turn in, but I want to move the artisan stacker away from that barn first. I'm going to drive it down to the correct field that we're going to be using it in, just so that we don't have to run up there and grab it. Just make it a little bit easier for us. But yeah, the whole organic farming, we'll put manure on before we do our planting, maybe just after planting. That is done sometimes, although that can sometimes impede the seeds coming up a little bit. It can cause a bit of issue, but not usually. As long as you do it straight after. You wouldn't go and spread solid manure onto an arable crop after any time post-emergence. Well, I don't think you do. I've never heard of it being done, but I mean, I've been proved wrong on so many things so many times that no, it wouldn't surprise me if it is done occasionally, some places post-emergence. I would guess maybe the field on our right at the moment. If you would put manure on that now, spread solid manure on there, would that knock it back very much? Would that manure rot down enough so that it wouldn't cause any issues at harvest time? Or any issues with ears shooting once the plants reach that stage? I mean, I don't know. That stage in there, I have heard of and seen slurry being applied at that stage. That I would understand. So, you know, we could do slurry spreading at that stage. And that's kind of how I'd like to work it. Like, we can spread slurry, we get manure on the field beforehand, and we can spread slurry so that we've got our fertilizer going onto the field. We can do that, and that's our organic farming. If we want to do weed control, though, we've got to control those weeds during the first growth stage with a rake. We don't have any other way that we're going to be doing it. Now, the only problem with that is that the whole raking malarkey is a rather tedious affair. It's quite slow to actually do, so there are times where I may just say, you know what, we've done enough raking in the last few weeks with our episodes that I don't feel it would be right to do any more just now, because I think it's going to be too much for people to bear, and we're all going to just start weeping tears onto our boots at the thought of having to endure any more raking. So I may just end up doing that from time to time. We will have to wait and see. I'm going to start it from this side because I am actually going to do the entire field every time. If I go from here, we're not going to end up with the hired help stating that they have run out of field at any point while they are doing these short runs, because they do sometimes, if they're working back the short runs, getting shorter and shorter each time, they do sometimes say, you know what, I've had it. I'm not doing any more, and I don't really want to get that. So I'm just going to do a couple of passes here myself, like this, because it's a little bit faster doing it like that. And then we will set the hired help going, and it can carry on and do that. And that means that we can go back, get the other tractor with the artisan on it, take that down to the other fields. We've completed one contract. All the machinery is up there in the field, waiting and raring to go. Waiting and raring for the farmer to come back and collect it now. And we can now concentrate on doing another baling job and then getting them all wrapped and the bales moved. So let's go there. Set the hired help going on that bit. He's going to go up through there and go and do that. And I'm hoping we've got enough seed in the tank this time to finish that job completely. And then we can go to you over here. As soon as I've got this artisan delivered, we will complete this job. And that'll be the first baling job done. That's going to be several thousand we're going to get for that one. I quite like that. I like that we're going to get a decent bit of return on this for once. Like the other jobs, I know that I've got the hired helps doing them, and we're doing multiple contracts. But we're not exactly making a fortune out of it, are we? Right? We're not exactly changing the world with the amount of money that we get coming in from them, because we're also having to pay out the people's wages, which again is quite realistic, because I'm managing the contracting company. The money that's coming in, we've got machinery costs that we're having to lay out for, and then we've got wages that we're having to lay out for. So basically what we're ending up with, we're not getting a vast sum of money coming in from these jobs. It's not like it's kind of adding money to the bank at a rate that is going to spoil this series. Or at least I don't think it is. So I'm still absolutely confident that, yes, this can be classed as a hardcore series, despite the fact that I am using hired help. I know that some people feel that it's only hardcore if you don't use hired help, but I'm going to respectfully disagree with you on that one. I don't feel that that is the case at all. I think that you can use hired help and it still be hardcore gameplay. Right. We've done that. So let's get on the blower to the farmer up here. We've got, you are on 51% active there at the moment. Ooh, if he's only 51% done, we may end up having to go back and get more seed at this rate. That one there is complete. So we get 7,800. We lose 800 on the leasing cost. So we get a total of just under 7,000. We had a fraction under 2,000. So on top of that, 7. We're pulling in about 9 grand for that job. Now, you take off a little bit for... Actually, yeah, there was some hired help work. So, I mean, 8,500 in total for that job. That's pretty good. There, we'll take that one. Another 6,000. So we're up to 12 grand now. So we're not going to have any problem doing fertilizer jobs. I would like to get some fertilizer jobs going, but we're not quite ready for doing those yet. Yeah, I don't particularly want to get want to do any fertilizer jobs just yet. I want to leave those alone for now. And we will do some, but those are kind of like the best earners that you can get. And yeah, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to run them, because if I take... Well, unfortunately, folks, that is all we have got time for today. So while I sit up here and enjoy this view and a well-earned break, could you please consider taking a look at the links in the description down below? We have Nitrado, who provide gaming servers, who are very, very reliable, and they provide us with a server on our Discord channel. And there is also Fanatical, where you can buy all kinds of different computer games for various different platforms. So if you've enjoyed this video, then please head down below and give us a like. And if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me. Get them to come and watch as well. That would be awesome. And until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.